Good day. This is Terry Holmes, Vice President Sales and Marketing of VMS Software, VSI, along with Eddie Orcutt, Vice President of Software Engineering at VSI. We'd like to welcome you to this first in what we hope will be a series of webinars that discuss VSI. In particular for today, our topic is very straightforward. It's a February business and technical update that we would like to present to you. We want you to know that we have participants literally from around the world on this initial webinar, and we're grateful for your participation and your interest, and also that the interest was so strong that we've scheduled a second webinar for February 27th on this same topic. So why don't we go ahead and begin. Let me just explain one other thing though. We will be accepting questions. Questions can be typed in through the chat box. We will not be addressing them during a presentation that we are going to go through with you, but we will be addressing those questions after the presentation is over. And we will try to get to every question with the best answers possible as we proceed. So thank you again for being here, and let's just jump right into it. So, of course, you know that VSI is the way forward with everything having to do with OpenVMS. And concerning OpenVMS, the basis of this company was founded that OpenVMS truly is something special, and that its mission-critical nature is something that we can never forget, that it has certain benefits of high availability, and also benefits of a unique security by its unique design that is so important to the operating system that everything that we do here at VSI is going to be based upon those basic fundamental principles and the architecture of the OS moving forward. So I know that our participants well recognize this, but it's important that we be reminded of this and how special this operating system is. From a strategic standpoint, VSI considers itself the clearinghouse, if you will, for everything having to do with OpenVMS, whether it's licenses and support, to training, to consulting, to hosting, managed services, application services, and things that are not too far down the road, such as looking at applications involving blockchain, which we'll talk about, as well as cloud solutions. So our strategy is to be everything OpenVMS, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of those elements first. In terms of VSI licenses, of course, as you know, VSI is the exclusive owner. When we purchased the rights from HP in 2014 to develop new OpenVMS products, and that because of that, we are the only company who offers VAX, Alpha, and Integrity users a way forward to migrate to the x86 platform. Because of our development of our licenses, VSI is the only company who can offer the rights to new versions at no extra cost to the user community, provided they are on VSI support. Our support is worldwide. It's unique. We have built an excellent support team of individuals who have years of experience with OpenVMS, as well as with other software products, so that they can provide you first-hand support and allow you first-hand access to our development engineers as needed. Along with this, providing 90-day conformance warranty. We have 4 levels of best-in-class support. We also support some later products that were previously unsupported, and as mentioned, we offer, when you're on support through VSI, rights to new versions. Our training proposition is very straightforward, whether it's instructor-led, remote instructor-led, or customer client-led, as well as we've recently introduced our online self-paced program. We know that this is important to the OpenVMS market, as retirement of individuals happens, as changes happen, it's important that we be the focal point or be a focal point for training for OpenVMS to allow new members of your staff, new members of your team to be trained in terms of replacement of individuals, but also to start the process of developing the technical skill set and the human resources for the next generation. We're also offering expanded offerings. Some of this is through VSI Direct, and much of this is through VSI partners, such as consulting, application services, hosting, managed services, and government compliance, as well as training. So what's in store for the next 40 years? As I think many of you may know, recently OpenVMS celebrated its 40th anniversary, going back to the original days back in Digital Equipment Corporation. And so we look to take this platform ahead for the next 40 years and looking at some of the different applications where we're developing strategies in cloud, blockchain, embedded systems, and hardware strategies. One question that often comes up is, how is VSI doing? Just to give you some status on that, VSI is doing well. Our business from 2016 to 2017 nearly doubled. The customer transition between HPE and VSI is well underway. Many clients have decided to remain on HPE for a while longer. Many clients have begun the transition to VSI, and many clients are on VSI presently, working with us directly or through our reseller partners. During 2018, you should see a stronger outreach of VSI marketing, as well as efforts of our partners to outreach to the user marketplace. In essence, you're going to see more from us. You're going to hear more about us. And we're going to try to provide vehicles such as webinars and other marketing tools, such as events, on a more regular basis, so you'll begin to hear the VSI message, and we will not be as reliant upon HPE. And again, we believe we have a very strong commercial case to customers where VSI truly is the only company who can offer a way forward on OpenVMS version 9.0, leading to 9.2, which is the clear path to x86 for OpenVMS users, as well as those who wish to remain or to upgrade to Alpha and Integrity versions that are not presently being offered, but will be soon on version 8.5 as well as version 9.2. We have a few announcements that we'd like to go over with you. First of all, in December, we announced that we now support HPE Integrity i6 servers. Those licenses and support are now available through OpenVMS. You see on the screen the same server classes that are supported on i4 and i2 generations, the RX 2800s, the BL860Cs, 870Cs, and 890Cs. The same I/O options plus newer 16 gigabyte FC HBA, and supported with current OpenVMS version 8.4-2L1. So today we have solutions for your software licensing and support needs on your new i6 servers. We're also pleased to announce that we're going to be offering, or we are offering today, VAX server support. This provides 24/7 OpenVMS technical support for L1 and L2 customer service. It's available on several VAX models, and it's priced by the hardware tier. This is very similar to our Alpha program, where we have 3 hardware tier groups: work group, departmental, and enterprise. It's positioned in the same manner. We're delighted to make this announcement to you today, and pleased that there's been a cry from the VAX community that they're looking for people to support them. We are now delighted to be able to offer this. Recently, we made a brief announcement on our website about a Swirlds Hashgraph partnership. This is really quite exciting. This is quite different. What Swirlds Hashgraph is really the next generation of blockchain technology. I'm sure that all of you have heard about blockchain technology. have some indication of what it is, what it does. The company called Swirls has taken blockchain technology and has already made leaps and bounds ahead in terms of speed, costs, and availability. So we are delighted that Swirls, who owns the Hashgraph IP and is the implementers of the Hashgraph platform, is partnering with VSI. Hashgraph is basically the next generation of distributed ledger. And as their partner, we will have an opportunity. We're going to be on their council. We have the opportunity to provide influence. They're very excited about their technology of Hashgraph being on OpenVMS, VSI OpenVMS. This will be supported by partners and customers to implement and operate the next generation of distributed applications. And again, both parties, both Swirls and VSI, are pleased because this partnership will improve the speed, security, costs, and availability of Hashgraph technology, which is a leap ahead of blockchain technology. Very exciting stuff. So to talk about VSI product improvements, I'd like to turn the time over to Eddie.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, looking at the improvements to date, VSI has put out 6 different versions of OpenVMS. We've had 3 on Integrity, 2 on Alpha, and we've also had a Japanese release for our Japanese customers. As you can see, we've had over 515 defect repairs to date, and for our customers who are on Alpha, at least on the 7.3-2, there are 179 new features since that version. We've also released 16 open source products, and that's continuing to climb. In fact, we'll go over a couple of new ones in some follow-on slides. We've got over 67 ISV partners and more coming on every day. Some of these partners are contacting us, others we are chasing ourselves, and others, customers and partners like yourself, have recommended or given us contact information to work with other partners. So if you have any partners or any applications you'd like to see on VMS, please let us know, and we're more than happy to work with other vendors that are out there that are providing software solutions on VMS. We also have 65 layered products that we have, and these layered products are the traditional layered products that that have run on VMS that have been available through digital or compact or through HP. These layered products are what make out the, if you will, the ecosystem for VMS to make it whole so you can do development and deployment on VMS. And again, we do support multiple platforms. To date, we have releases for Alpha and IE64 Integrity, and we are working on the x86 release, so we will have 3 different platforms here within the next year or 2 that we'll be supporting. So this is all good news. It's all forward progress on VMS. I know that it's been in the news here recently about the Spectra meltdown vulnerability. This is actually a hardware design flaw, if you will, or vulnerability in Intel chips. As you can see on the right here, OpenVMS on Titanium is not susceptible. On Alpha, there's 2 different categories here. On the pre-EV6 systems, they are not susceptible to this particular flaw. On EV6 and later, we have not reproduced that behavior. We're still continuing to look at it on EV6 and later systems, but we have not reproduced that behavior to date. And on the x86-64 platform, as we move forward, as you can see here, some design decisions within VMS, it mitigates the impact of any attack on VMS. And for meltdown, we're not susceptible at all. And for Spectre, it is limited susceptibility. Again, we work very hard to eliminate these susceptibilities as we complete the port. But some of the design decisions has to do with the 4 rings of protection that VMS has, the 4 modes of access of data within VMS. And these 4 rings, each one of them has their own stack, which helps to protect and mitigate the impact of such a flaw. Other bug fixes we have a security patch on VMS that we have just recently released. It's been available for months, but we just announced it basically to the public. It's the CDE 2017-17482, It is a patch that affects DCL and is available for all VSI versions of VMS, and it is available now for customers of ours who get support directly from VSI. There is a download site to which you can go to and get that. Email us at info at VMS Software if you don't have it currently, and we will be glad to get that to you. It is an open site, so that we're making this available to all of our customers that are out there, regardless if they are, bought through HP or bought through VSI directly. It's available to all VSI or all VMS customers that are there. This particular bug, it's available and it affects both Alpha and Integrity platforms to various levels, of course. The Alpha version, HP does not have a fix for it. They have a workaround, but the patch kit is for, on Alpha anyways, for VSI versions of VMS. Also, we will have new patches, new versions of OpenSSL. OpenSSL 1.02n is now available, and for those who have support contracts with VSI, it is now available. Should be available soon, if not already, through HPE. I know there's a process we have to go through to load it on the patch site, so that customers who buy through HP will also be able to get this. But we've changed the way that we implement OpenSSL. It used to take us literally months in order to put out a new version of OpenSSL. Now it just takes us a couple of weeks, and we can stay up on top of the SSL software and any potential bugs that may be inherent. So the releases to date, talked a little bit about it generically. We've had the 3 integrity releases. You can see in June of 2015, we released our first release, 8.4-1H1, codenamed Bolton. March, not quite a year later, in 2016, 8.4-2, and then later in the year, we came out with 8.4-2L1. 8.4-2L1 is pretty much identical to 8.4-2, except we did upgrade the OpenSSL components on there and some bug fixes as well got rolled up into that. Plus, as you can see in the middle, there's also the Japanese version. It affects DEC forms, DCPS, FMS, DEC Windows, and also VMS itself. And then for Alpha, we have 2 releases. We have in February of last year, 8.4-2L1. It's the standard release that runs almost all models of Alpha to date. And then there's a performance build, which is 8.4-2L2. It only runs on EV6 and EV7 platforms. If you try to run it on a prior platform, it will not even boot. So this is just to take advantage of the hardware instructions, the newer instructions that were in the EV6, EV7. In particular, the ones that affect OpenVMS were the byte, word, load, store instructions. That's had a tremendous impact on performance for some of our customer base that are out there. So it's dependent upon your configuration, dependent upon the application. I've got some other presentations that I did back in boot camp, but we were consistently seeing anywhere from 25% performance improvements up to 120%, again, dependent upon your application and your I/O configuration. Because RMS was one of the most affected images within VMS. It actually shrunk by 240 blocks because a lot of the byte word instructions, they used to be emulated in software, and now it's just a single instruction going to hardware. So it has improved the RMS performance. That's one of the bigger impacts right there. So just to talk about the quality we put into OpenVMS, before we release VMS, our versions we have out to date, this is how many test hours we have before the release. We continually test them afterwards, but before we actually release the product or up to the release date, you can see for 1H1, it's 113,000 hours, 8.4.2, 120. For 2L1, since it's pretty much equivalent to 8.4.2 except the SSL add-ons and bug fixes, it was over 54,000 hours of testing. And for the next release, Tewksbury's we call it, which is version 8.5, we have over 40,000 hours of testing to date. And that is continuing to increase every week. So the integrity operating environment, VMS is sold in 2 bundles. There's the BOE bundle and there's the HOE bundle. HOE is a superset of BOE, so whatever's in BOE is included in HOE plus the components you see there. We do have highlighted that with SIFs, and the BOE component is being updated. So there will be an update come out in Q3 of this year. We expect that in the August, September timeframe. and it's the new version of Samba that's out there. We will be renaming CIFS to Samba, and then the version that is reflected back in the open source community. So that will be available as in addition to GNV updates and additional, if you will, Apache, the secure web server modules updates there as well. So some of the integrity-related products, the ones that are already released, you can see, we used to put dates out there, but we've changed that to versions because we think that would be more useful information since these products have been released for over a year. We can see some of the new ones that are out there. DQS has been added to the portfolio in addition to GKS. And what is planned, and is right on the threshold, is Omni and OSAP. And I'll talk a little bit more about those two in a later slide. Back this one. So on Omni and OSAP, we will release Omni on both Alpha and Integrity. We're looking at a Q2 release, and we're currently looking for field test sites. So if you or one of your customers or partners happen to run Omni or OSAP, please let us know, and we will get a field test kit out to you. Same for OSAP. We're looking again Q2 release. The Integrity field test kit is available today. The Alpha kit is the one that's lagging because the way that we bundled all the licenses in Alpha, we're having to modify LMF to add the Omni and the OSAP licenses to this bundle. So there will be a LMF patch for Alpha in addition to the Omni and the OSAP kits that will be available as well. But Integrity is available today. We are looking for customers today for field test and OSAP here in the near future, Q2. The Integrity open source, we've added a couple here in the past couple of months. One of them I've got listed down there is syslog. Syslog, a lot of the open source products, a lot of Linux applications that you port to VMS, they like to send all of their messages to the syslog. And we now support that so that we can now view those and track those and store those on VMS and display those, through the standard, mechanism for the console that we have within VMS. And also we're investigating Redis, and we're investigating several others that I don't have listed here, but these are the ones we have significant time in that are listed that we are working on. So, exciting things in the open source community. In the Alpha operating system, and I put layered products here as well, since we bundle the Alpha licenses together, it's really one purchase now. You purchase one part number, and you buy support bundle in with the licenses. You can get them in 1 or 3 year terms. And one of the products, again, that we've added to this is highlighted in red here. That's GKS. And then again, Omni and OSAP are right on the threshold. And again, we're looking for field test sites for customers who have that in their environment. In the open source products, this is a subset of basically what we have available on Integrity. The only restriction we have for our Alpha open source products is Java. Java runs the Java version 1.5, and what we run on Integrity is Java version 8 is the current release. So that's what will prevent us from, if you will, porting some of the applications, open source applications to Alpha would be Java if they have that dependency. If not, then there's no issue of porting new open source products to the Alpha platform. So TCP/IP, we are coming out with the new TCP/IP package here in Q2 timeframe. It's going to be called the VSI TCP/IP version 10.5. It is not the HPE TCP/IP services kit rebranded. This is a totally separate new kit. It's based off of multi-net and process software. We use version 5.5B, I think was the latest release. Plus, we have additional updates past that, such as Suite B encryption for SSH, and some other enhancements to NFS and to IP clustering, and et cetera. So there are some improvements and some, bug fixes that we will release in there. That will be in Q2, just here in, the next couple of months. And then in the future, we'll come out with additional releases, and we'll bundle that in with OpenVMS. So you basically have your choice of which TCP/IP stack you want to run, the new VSI stack, or you can run the existing stack with TCP/IP services. Once we go to x86, the new VSI TCP/IP stack will be the only stack available But on Integrity and Alpha, you will have your choice of stacks at least for a while, and eventually the VSI TCP/IP stack will be the only stack available on all platforms. So some of the future plans, I alluded to that in the previous slide, is the first version, 10.5 is on I-64, the Integrity platform only. Then once we come out with version 10.6, that will be on Alpha as well. So there's some of the new features we're looking at. These are some performance enhancements, is that we would do checksum offload. That will be available. That will be to offload the stack of your CPU usage, if you will, for the checksumming of your packets as the data goes in and out. So again, it will be NIC specific. So some of the NICs on Alpha may not support CKO, so that feature may not be available on some platforms, again, depending upon the NIC you have. So please check your hardware features to see if you will able to take advantage of that. And it will be automatic. There's nothing to configure. So if the chip or the card, your NIC you use, supports CKO, we use it automatically. If not, then it won't. Again, check your hardware features of what you have. And then later versions of TCP/IP is going to be for x86 as well. And again, that will be the only stack that will be available on x86 going forward. So some of the upcoming new products that we have available are coming up. Version 8.5, we're looking at a Q3, possibly Q4 release schedule on that. We're bundling in TCP/IP with that. Updates to the C runtime library, ACPI, which is the power management, the platform management. The newer version of SSL, instead of this being an update to version 1.02, this will be the next generation SSL 1.1x, wherever X happens to be by that time. And also looking at enhancing the password management on VMS, which I've talked about in the past. So we bring it up to common requirements, especially in the more secure environments. So 8.5 will be available on Itanium and Alpha, as shown here in the slide. Version 9.2 will be available on all three platforms, Itanium, Alpha Power, Alpha, and also x86. You can see that will be the full production release. And then beyond 9.2, going into the future, Integrity and x86 being supported with versions 9.x. Release dates to be TBD, and functionality, you know, the features within their TBD, depending upon what all gets put in 8.5 and 9.2 and the timing of all of that. So that will determine that as well. So the support roadmaps, we support our current release and one release back indefinitely. Then as we come out with the third and fourth releases, then we support the older releases for a minimum of 5 years on the standard. Then they go after that time frame under prior version support, which does not include L3 engineering support by default, but there is an extended sustaining engineering support contract you can get for those versions if you need engineering support past the standard support time frame is shown on the slide. So I'm showing Alpha here, and then the next slide is very similar, except this is for Integrity and x86, and you can see that we're showing past 2024, you know, standard support dates for 8.5 and, you know, 9.2 and 9x going forward. So for those who, you know, have extended or need extended support, you know, we are offering that. And we will update this slide as time progresses, but we will show this extending well into the future to, you know, fit your requirements. And storage. Storage is a very fast evolution part of VMS. We're trying to make VMS, if you will, you know, to interoperate in a multi-vendor environment. So we've come up and we have partnered with various storage vendors that are out there. Obviously, we support Hewlett-Packard since that has been the base of VMS for many years. We've also added other partners to our, you know, compatibility and supportability list. Being Pure Storage, there's Cove, Hitachi, Huawei, there's Dell EMC, Infinidat is a recent addition to our supported platform, and in progress is with NetApps, and we're also, you know, looking at others as well, but these are the ones that we have, you know, formal relationships with at this moment. But one of the interesting things to look at is the Gartner Magic Quadrant for disk arrays. You can see the leaders are up there. They're IBM, you know, Huawei, there's Hitachi, there's Dell, NetApp, and HPE. And then as far as visionaries, you can see Infinidat, and I'm putting check marks up here. Hopefully you can see this on your slides. And we support the majority of the vendors that are either leaders or visionaries. So VMS has a bright future storage-wise out there with our partner base. So keep up to date with what we support. This list will be changing hopefully frequently. So I'm not going to read all of these models. We just put up here just for your edification, and when you get a copy of the slides, this will be for your records. But we're just showing here, these are the HP storage array models that we support, and we basically broke them down into 4 different families: the MSA, EVA, the XP line, and also a 3-part. Nimble, I know somebody may ask about Nimble. We are talking with HP about Nimble support. We just don't have that there yet for those who are looking at the Nimble platform. So Dell EMC, they're broken into 2 different categories of families, if you will. Their VMAX, their 100K model, and the 950. You can see the model numbers and the different notes that go along with that, and this will be in a copy of the slides that you get. Hitachi, you can see the VSP line that is there. Again, I'm going through this fairly quickly, and you'll be able to see this as at a later time. And Finadat is one of our newer partners. It's their F-series boxes, and this is pretty much the same family. They just split theirs according to the size of the array, but you will be able to see this later and also go out and get additional information. Cove is very interesting. Cove is not a, if you will, a flash storage-based array. They actually do things in SD-RAM, which has interesting characteristics. You don't have any rebuilds periodically. And their response times are very deterministic. So if you have that requirement and high I/O rates, Cove is a vendor to look at. And then Pure Storage, they're all flash array, and 2 series of theirs. There's the FA series and their //M. Please go out to their site as well and to look at their capabilities. And then just a short update on the x86 port. As everybody knows, I hope everybody knows, is that the majority of the porting process is basically doing your compilers. We support all of the traditional compilers that have been on VMS. There's 9 total. We are converting these compilers because they were originally built in the gem format, which is the front end of the compiler and the back end, was responsible for the code generation that was platform specific. So we've gotten away from the gem model as far as VSI or OpenVMS group, writing a back end or licensing the back end from a particular vendor. We're actually using now an open source LOVM to do our code generation for us. So that is what takes a lot of our time. That is on the threshold of being complete. We don't have very many errors left within the LOVM or the compiler phase. So we should be able to get clean compiles out here very soon. So that is one of the good things. And then after that is finished, and we can start compiling VMS, then things should speed up tremendously as far as getting the a release out the door. Also, that it is common source code, as you can read here on the slide. Alpha, Titanium, and x86 is common source. Again, the compilers, we are using the front end of compilers ourselves. We will update and keep those or use open source components where needed. And then LOVM is how we target other architectures besides, say x86. So moving VMS in the future to other platforms as other platforms become, more popular, if you will, or more strategic, then we'll have an easier time of porting to future platforms in the future. So the release plan, as was put out in some of the other slides, is a version 9.0. That is an early adopters kit, is a kick the tires. It is for select partners and ISVs because this is a cross-build environment, meaning the compilers run on integrity. We cross-compile for the x86 environment. You will copy your executables over and then run them, on your x86 OpenVMS platform. Then when version 9.1 comes out, it will be available for all partners, ISVs, and customers. No cross-compiling necessary. It's all native tools. You'll be able to compile and link on an x86 system. So that will be available for everybody. And then for 9.2 will be the production release. And again, you can see the dates on this. Early 2020 will be the time where we have the full production release. Or sooner, depending upon, again, how fast, once we get the first boot and we start really compiling all of VMS. We expect that to go fairly quickly compared to, the initial phase of the port. So you may say, why do you want to do, additional releases on Alpha and Integrity. It is easier to change a platform, hardware platform, if you're up to date software-wise from your current platform to the platform you want to migrate to. So we want to make sure that our customer base has the exact same software on Integrity and Alpha as will be available in x86, so that swapping out the hardware platform will be a lot easier. So that's why we're doing this, is for ease of migration for our customers. x86 servers, this is just showing that we're looking, at least initially there will be others to come as well, but we're looking at HPE and Dell servers. We're doing this because they are the market leaders. They represent roughly 50% of the market that's out there, just these two vendors alone. And, you know, it's a big world out there as far as servers are concerned, so you may wonder, well, why did you pick a particular generation of Dell or HP servers? The reason has to be because these server generations want to support UEFI for firmware, and all of our pre-boot drivers are UEFI drivers. So these are the versions or the generations of HPE and Dell servers that we will support. Getting a little bit more granular in this, you can see of all of the modules for HPE is the generation 9 and 10. I see my numbers don't quite line up on the slide, but it's generation 9 and 10 of what's supported there, and that's what's in the blue shaded box. We're also looking and working with HPE for the NC990, which is their scalable architecture, which I think may have a new name in the future if it doesn't already, be calling the Flex Dome or Superdome Flex. So we are working with HP for that as well. And then the Dell servers is a generation 12, 13, and 14. And again, we chose these generations because, again, they were the UEFI-based firmware on them. And then to give you an indication of the type of cards we're looking to support within these servers, since there's a plethora of them out there. For SCSI, if you have any parallel SCSI needs, then Mnemonics is our supplier for those. We support those today and will in the future. For SAS, we're looking at the standard HPE and Dell HBAs that they have. Same for the RAID cards. They're, you know, HPE is the SA series, and for Dell is the PERC series of RAID cards. Fiber channel is pretty standard across the platforms. We're looking at 16 and 32 gigabit cards, and that's what was shown there, both in QLogic and later on for Emulex. And then for USB, we'll be supporting the USB standards that are on the server at that time, so USB 3.1 and then later USB 4.0. And then for the Ethernet for the NICs, today we support the Intel 1 gig and the 10 gig for the Broadcom. We're looking for the 2040 and for the 100 gigabit adapters from Emulex and from Intel and Mellanox. Mellanox is also one of the thought leaders out there, and especially when you start getting into things like InfiniBand.
Eddie, thanks so much for all of those technical updates. Have a swig of water. I think you deserve it. So in terms of coming attractions, we anticipate very soon an announcement that we're quite excited about involving VSI Cloud Services. We have the dates selected. Everything is not coordinated quite yet for the Open VMS Bootcamp, which we're targeting September 23rd to the 26th, and hope that we'll see some of you there. In terms of our webinar series that was mentioned earlier, we are looking at a series of webinars. Today's is meant to be more of a general business and technical update, but we are going to get into very specific topics which you'll all be invited to, and hopefully you'll have a chance to participate in the future. And we're also looking at scheduling some regional events as well. So in terms of today's webinar, just so I don't forget, this is being recorded and it will go up on our website. You'll have the opportunity to receive the presentation, as Eddie mentioned, that's been given. You can do that two ways. One, by going to info@vmssoftware.com and just requesting the email from February 22nd's webinar. If you have my email address, terry.holmes@vmssoftware, you can send me an email and I can make sure you get it. I also realize that there is a mechanism within the webinar series or the webinar protocol where you can download the presentations as they're being given. Please excuse my lack of technical skills here, being the first webinar that we've done, but we'll make sure that that's available in the future so it can be downloadable almost instantaneously for you. And as mentioned, there'll be some specific topics coming up. You'll see that in the next week to 10 days in terms of the activities and the scheduled webinars that we're planning. Let's see if we have any questions here that have come up. Let's take them one at a time. This is from Jeffrey. Is Java 8 going to be included in the 9.x EAKs? Eddie?
Yeah, well, Java is a standalone product. It's not tied to any particular release of OpenVMS, so it's not tied to 9.x, for example. But we are looking at what Java version to go forward with, especially on x86. So we are looking at Java 8, Java 9, Open, JDK. So we are looking at options out there for x86.
Okay, and Eddie, let's see, another question. Oh, well, has anyone won the x86 first boot contest yet? Well, Eddie, you want to comment on that?
Not yet. We haven't had first boot quite yet. We're working on it, but not yet. We'll put out an announcement when we have first boot, and then for everybody who's put in entries, we'll look to see who's closest to that date, and then we'll announce a winner for that. But we haven't had first boot yet. We're working on it.
Let's see. Eddie, you mentioned earlier that you're looking for people to do some field test work on Omni OSAP. Anything in particular that they should be aware of, or any comments, any more details on that?
I think the only one is on Omni. If you use the MMS component for that, we don't have that quite available yet. But if you don't use the MMS component of it, then yes, we have Omni available. Integrity, it's available today, and as I said earlier, soon for alpha, because we're having to put an LMF patch out there. So since we bundle these licenses together, we have to include Omni and OSAT within that bundle.
Okay, we have a question from Michael about DEC Windows support.
DEC Windows will be supported. We're still working on the exact configurations as far as the graphics cards that will be available, and exactly whether we would use Motif or whether we would use say KDE or Genome or some other window manager, if you will. So we're looking at that, but yes, we're looking at graphic support for VMS.
Eddie, we have a question from Kevin. We have documentation on the new TCP/IP stack for ISVs before you ship.
Yes, about the time anyway. We'll get it to you, Kevin, as soon as we can. It is in review at the moment, but hopefully here in the next few weeks we'll have it available or in a good format of where you'll be able to to review what the documentation is. So, but we are working on that. Let's see, other questions were, can you scroll up in the box there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too far.
No, we've
there was another one in there. Further down. There we go, right there. From John Dyke, this is, so you're not planning the VSI 9.1 EAK that will appear before Q1 of 2020. Yeah, it will be available in 2019. For the 9.1, 9.2 is the 2020. If that was misleading, please let me know and I'll get some corrected information out there. But we're looking at EAK, the first EAK, 9.0 this year, 2018. And then in 2019, we're looking at 9.1. And then either late 2019 or early 2020. We like to be conservative on our estimates, so that's why we see 2020 for version 9.2. Another question here on doc set updates underway. Yes, we are working on a doc set. That is a huge project, by the way. There's over 60,000 pages of VMS documentation scattered around some 300 plus manuals. So it is a large job, and we are working on it. We have prioritized the list, and the list is mainly been prioritized as to what is changing on x86, and those will be the documents that will be updated first. There are some other documents we do have available, mainly in the system management space, and we will get those out and make those available as soon as possible.
Okay, Eddie, we have a question from Art. Any update on VMS as a VM? Any further thinking about VMware?
Yep, we have VMs within our lab. The ones we're using today are the open source versions of them. So we're using, virtual desktop. We're using KVM. Zen is on the list as well as VMware. So yes, we are working on those. The timing for support may vary. VMware may be a 9.2 support or possibly 9.1. It just depends on when we get through certifications on those particular platforms. Any other questions or anything that we missed in the list? Can we scroll up just a little bit more? Did we get everything in?
Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
And please email info, at VMS Software if you have any questions, and we will address those, get them back. And Terry, you may want to go over again the slides being available. The hobbyist program.
Thanks, Eddie. This is a question we get asked a lot. We'll be the first to admit we don't really have a formal hobbyist program in place. We understand the value of the hobbyist license as part of the way forward to ensure that OpenVMS remains sustainable for the long term, as well as giving people the opportunity to do work on their own or with others to develop software. The first thing that we are going to be working on, though, is a developer's license, and that is our focus today as a stream to add additional ISVs to the OpenVMS community, and to make sure that more ISVs are developing new products on OpenVMS. So for now, the hobbyist license, we will be coming out with a more formal statement and more of a program that has some teeth to it, but the immediate interest and the immediate need that we have to take a look at is from the ISV standpoint and the development of new ISVs on top of OpenVMS. And Eddie, we have a question from Michael there.
Yeah, iSCSI support. We're looking at iSCSI for x86. I don't think we'll have it for Alpha or for Integrity, but x86, yes, it is in the plans. Another question, whether there be a support site available. We're working on a support site. The website is in development, and that will be part of it. So there will be a portal there, if you will, for customers to be able to log in and view their contracts and products that they have licensed. So yes, that is in development. It's just not available yet. I don't know if it'll be exactly like the HP Support Center, but it will have the similar functionality to allow you to be able to view what you have licensed and give access to patch kits, et cetera.
What is the status of MQ?
MQ, that's an interesting topic. MQ series, I've got a nice email I can send out on that. It's a ton of information, so I'm trying to paraphrase a lot of this for you. I know most of our customers out there with MQ and OpenVMS is running version 6.0, whatever, releases on top of that. I know that IBM is ending support for that sometime, I think it's this year or early next year. There is another company that has contracted with IBM, it's Willow Technology. Willow Technology is now the partner who is porting MQ Series versions to VMS, and they will be responsible for that. So you buy MQ Series through them, and also the support contract would be through Willow, not through VSI or not through HP or IBM. So this will be a Willow product, if you will. They are releasing here within the next month, as it'll be the April timeframe, a version 6.5. So for our customers who are on a version 6 product and need support, this will be the version to go to. It's a roll-up of all of the patch kits that are on the 6 versions, plus maybe a couple of updates. And that will be available here within the next month or two. Then there will be version 7, which will be available, I think, later this year, and then version 8, which should be an early next year release. So I know they have multiple releases in mind, version 6.5, version 7, version 8, and those are forthcoming, but these will be coming from Willow Technology. And for more details, I can get that sent out in an email. So again, please, send mail to info@VMS Software.
Thanks for that question, Peter. Are there any other questions for today? As it appears not, again, we want to thank you for participating in this initial general update from VSI. We very much appreciate your support. We know that many of you who are on want to and almost count on the success of VSI to continue the building of the Open VMS platform again. We appreciate that support. We appreciate your interest, and look forward to additional webinars that we'll be hosting and some other events. And as Eddie said a few times, please let us know if there's any questions. We will try to be as responsive to you and your needs as possible to make sure that we are all successful. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.